Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining after lunch. Innov8 is a session that we've had at HEDNA for a number of our conferences, always a popular one. It's a great opportunity for the audience to see some of the innovation that's happening in the industry and for HEDNA to be able to help spotlight and promote some companies that are helping to transform hospitality distribution and payments. So very delighted to be here. We've changed the format a bit this time. We are squeezing everything into the one session. We'll have 5 companies presenting back-to-back with a couple of questions afterwards. So for those of you who are perhaps like me with a short attention span, we've kept it to 5 minutes. If you have, like me, perhaps a short memory, they're in the app. And if you are short like me, then I can't really help you. Maybe come up and join me on stage. I will be joined by a couple of people as well. I'm David Cabreza, Chief Commercial Officer for Xanderpay. I will be joined with Ellen Barthe from Historic Hotels of Norway. She will be helping me to probe some of the innovators to ask a couple of questions, providing a hotelier's input so that we can ensure that we are addressing the questions that the audience may have about what the value propositions are and how they're truly innovating. Then we will have a brief presentation from our sponsor, Visa. I would like to ask you in the meantime, while we're starting, can you please ensure that you have your, I've taken off my name tag, but on the back of the name tag, you can download the app if you have not done so already. Please use that to vote. We've got a couple of alternative methods in case that doesn't work for you, if you've got a phone that is either so new or so old that it doesn't accept the HEDNA app. But in any case, we will get started. We have 5 very interesting companies that cover a breadth of hospitality distribution and payments. We will start with the first one. With no further ado, I'd like to welcome to this stage Afi.
Hey, everyone. I want to talk to you about how we are helping hotels by automating their repetitive tasks. Hotel technology is highly fragmented. We know this. We know that hotel tech suppliers and hoteliers do the very best they can to mitigate issues that come from these systems, but still, solutions overlap, poor integrations cause limited agility, and there's a very high cost when it comes to improvements. You know this is the case in systems like PMS, CRS, RMS, channel managers, booking engines, building management systems, POS, and lots more. You'll recognize all of this as your traditional tech stack. We call it the Messyverse. And our mission is to simplify it. If I say the word automation, I'm guessing that the first things that come to mind will be perhaps a chatbot or self-service kiosks, purchases through app, express checkouts, control the room from the phone, perhaps even other things like the ordering in-room dining, for example. But these, regardless of being very guest-centric, are removing the guest interaction 100%. So we made them for the guests, but it removes the human interaction and engagement that comes from a human interaction industry like hospitality. At AFI, we try to think about something else, and I would like to my challenge to you would actually be to think about your daily tasks or your team's daily tasks in this case. For instance, checking reservations, payment reconciliation, processing invoices, checking credit card validity, room status check, or maybe even creating new bookings. How much time is being spent on repetitive things that come from tasks exactly like this? So at AFI, our aim is actually the employee's journey. Using hyper-automation, we are removing all these tedious, boring tasks that come from labor-intensive actions like the ones I mentioned previously. If you think about any process, any task that you have to do today, tomorrow, next week, in an ideal scenario, you would hope that it would start and end with no hiccups. Now, we know that's not reality. In reality, we know that these tasks come with a lot of repetitive things. Repetitive things lead to mistakes. These mistakes lead to do-overs and more repetitive tasks. Now, we don't mean to say that these tasks go away or disappear. That's not the case. What we mean to say is that we want to do them for you. And by taking care of everything in between and automating these tedious tasks, we make sure that every process goes back to being as smooth as it should be. And automation can impact all departments in a hotel. We have built robots that go from finance, HR, front and back office, engineering, reservations, and much, much more, like housekeeping, for example. And the benefits of automation are virtually endless. It gives you time back for tasks that bring you value. Time to actually focus on strategy, time to engage with guests and with team members. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think any of us joined the industry to spend the day behind the screen. So it liberates you from that. And with it, we know that less boring tasks lead to happier employees and ultimately happier guests. And we do all this by making the technology available to anyone, accessible to anyone, and bringing it fully as a service. We run, build, maintain all these robots with no setup costs or fees, and we are very light on the IT tech stack, on the hotel's environment, simply because for most processes, our technology, or RPA technology, will only need a user login, just as if we are a new collaborator, a new employee joining that hotel. Our experience and background in hospitality allows us to quickly identify opportunities where automation can be more efficient. And we work together as a team with each hotel, hand in hand, making sure that these automated processes are as smooth as they should be, and that we tackle the right departments. To give you some quick examples of other robots we built: canceling invalid bookings, checking credit card validity, processing cancellations, payment reconciliation. We've done things with night audit tasks, processing no-shows, doing update of room status, invoice routing, a very big one. For data, we extract room data. We can upload data for business intelligence, upload STR data as well. F&B snapshot using reporting from both a POS and a PMS. Updating geo-source the booking, updating user rights, AC check, and room status check. Now, these are just 16 examples. By now, as of earlier this week, we are around the 53 automated processes throughout all departments. And I mean, we know that the messy-verse is just the way it is. We recognize it. We know that it's nobody's fault. Both, as I mentioned, tech suppliers and hoteliers try the very best they can. We choose the right tools. We train the talent to work on those tools. But still, naturally, having a lot of different systems cause a lot of different tasks, labor-intensive processes. Now, our aim at AFI is exactly this. It's realizing that there's an issue, recognizing that's no one's fault, and solving it by simplifying the messy-verse. Thank you.
Come on up. So, Ellen and I have a couple of questions. One, we're seeing a lot of automation at the property level. Do you have plans or thoughts as to how you might elevate that to the chain level? And then also for the chains that have got 5,000 hotels, how does that implementation work?
100%. No, that's a great question. We do start with I try to target operations, hotel operations, so for people to quickly relate to it. But usually, and the ones that we see that are most profitable, is when we work at, so not 5,000, but maybe our average client is 30 to 50 hotels, and with centralized operations. And we see high value in that because it removes thousands of hours, literally. For instance, in processing invoices, in payment reconciliation, in managing bookings, simply in the PMS or CRS, for example. And that, at the end of the day, it really saves, I wouldn't say manpower, because we're completely on the other side of it. We don't try to go that route, but it saves time for actually people to bring value, to have time to be in meetings discussing strategy. So yeah, we are interested in building more and more that can reach more hotels instead of just specifically going property by property. That wouldn't be scalable for us either.
Thank you.
So,
I think that kind of tied in a bit with the question Ellen had.
Yeah, so is it a plug-in to, for example, a PMS or a channel manager? How does it all technically work? And are you limited by, are you certified with just a few or any?
So no, the good part of it is that we are platform agnostic, let's say. We don't really rely or depend on an API, wait for some integration to work, or go into a partnership with Oracle to be able to build something on Opera, for example. We don't need that. So for most systems, all we need is really a login. For instance, if it's a cloud-based PMS or a cloud-based system, all we need is that login. From our cloud servers, we build the robots to operate on them, and it's just, if you would watch a screen, you would literally just, the same as you would see someone clicking and typing and stuff, but instead of a human is a robot behind it. So a login is enough.
Great. Thank you.
One more.
Thank you very much. Another quick one, please.
Just a quick question. So you just mentioned cloud. So not all PMS systems are in the cloud as of 2022. So can you work with?
We can.
Okay.
We tackle that as well. For instance, most of it, when we speak to traditional chains that use Opera and it's on-premise, so Opera on-prem, we tackle that as well, simply with having a virtual machine in place, and then it allows us to access remotely and just start the procedure. So it's exactly the same way. It just has a middleman, which is a computer being in the spot that nobody touches except our robots.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have CellPoint Digital. Please.
I like that. That is perfect, and I think that's a great description of what payments are across across the spectrum. How many payments geeks are in the room? Okay, so me, and I'm glad you're here too. I'm going to try and take a little different tack to this and just explain why this makes such a huge difference to you. Payments have always been relatively complex. But they've always been seen really as an operational cost, and the complexity that has been growing over the last 5 years has just kind of blown all of that out of the water. It becomes just really difficult to understand, hard to figure out, and so the path of least resistance is oftentimes just to go one direction, pay the price, and then forget about it. That's probably not something your finance team likes, and it definitely isn't something from a user experience that works out really well. And so one of the things that we've done is looked at that whole experience and said, what can we do to turn taking payments from just a cost of doing business to a strategic advantage? And that's what CellPoint Digital is all about. So we are a payment orchestration provider. What is that, you ask? So payment orchestration is really the idea that we want to optimize your payment flows, optimize what transactions you take, how you route them, who you work with, and how we present those opportunities or those payment choices to your customers to maximize their user experience, reduce your operating cost, and streamline your back-end operations. We do that. We are effectively a technology layer that sits between you, the organization that's accepting a payment, and your payment processor. We're processor agnostic, so we don't require you to change the processors that you work with. So we sit between you and Adyen or WorldPay or WeChat Pay, whoever that might be. And then we optimize the routing that occurs at that level. So we do that in a variety of ways. The first is that we have an intelligent routing engine that enables us to look at whatever it is you want to accomplish. Do you want the least cost routing for those transactions? We can help you do that. If you have transactions that fail on one processor, we can help you move them to another processor and make sure you get an authorization. That's really critical because you think about just how much time you've spent getting that customer to the point where they're ready to say, yes, I want to book. And to have that experience go bad in some way, for them to not see the kind of payment that they want to use, or to have a failure that happens where that transaction can't be converted, that's an incredibly expensive transaction. So we want to make sure that that happens as well. And we optimize that payments flow. In many cases, even very large merchants are still using a single payment processor for all of their operations, or they're using one in one part of the world and another in a different area. We think there's a better way to do that, and it's layering local payment providers, local payment types, and global payment providers to make sure that you have options in terms of how you route those transactions. We have a big ecosystem. I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute, but really what that helps you do is scale faster. Make sure that you can take the kind of payments that you want to take, the payment types you want to take, and really improve that user experience for the customer. And then we also work on reducing your back office complexity, and I'll show you an example of that in just a minute. We're obviously asking people to do something a little bit different, not a lot, but putting this in place is a relatively straightforward thing from an operational perspective, but it definitely has results. Now, this is a situation where your experiences may vary, certainly, but this is just an example and a not unrepresentative one of an impact that we've had, an 11% increase in transaction approvals. So 11% of the time when somebody's getting a no, we're helping them get a yes. A 30% reduction in operating costs, the overall cost of accepting a payment, and then a 75% faster time to market in terms of being able to add new opportunities to future-proof your payments ecosystem. One example, when I say operating cost, one example of that is what we can do to make sure that all of your sales channels, web, mobile, chatbot, call center, all can work in a unified way so that the exact same payment experience that somebody has on your website is the same as it is on your mobile site as well. That's a huge thing, both in terms of making sure that, again, it's a better user experience. One of our customers, though, also was operating 43 different websites or 43 different payment pages. And they were doing that because in different countries, there were different payment types they needed to support. There were different requirements. We were able to consolidate that down to a single one. So the operational cost reduction from that alone was a pretty significant thing for them. And then when we think about ecosystem, again, we're processor agnostic or payment type agnostic. Today in our ecosystem, we have 168 different alternative or local payment methods, 28 different card schemes, and 221 processors. So we enable you to really work with whoever you want to work from a processor perspective to take the payment types that your customers really want and that you probably want because they offer you some commercial advantages as well. We've been around for a while, which is great. We're continuing to innovate, but one of the things that we've done is we have really focused on working with operationally complex companies. We come out of the airline space. We've been in that space for some time with companies like Virgin Atlantic, with Southwest, with Cebu, with Avianca, companies that have very complex operating systems. But within that, then we've also started to work with companies, hotel companies. So Radisson, we've just announced we're in full-on implementation with them. And with some of our airlines, we're also working with their vacations properties, and holidays programs, which has some very similar experiences to what hotel brands are having to deal with as well. So that's really the idea here. We help you optimize your payments flow, reduce your operating cost, and drive more transactions with a better user experience than any other way you're going to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Just time for a couple very quick questions. I think Ellen had one to begin with.
Yep. So we briefly talked about China and the form of payments that they prefer. Are there any geographic regions where payment orchestration makes more sense than others?
You know, I think that even in the general rule of thumb, the more complex the payment types and the operating kind of structure that's there, the more important payment orchestration is. So even, say Latin America, where you've got a lot of very unique payment types and ways of doing business. Asia is certainly one of those as well. But even when you look at North America or Europe, where things tend to be a little bit more straightforward, there are terrific use cases for using multiple acquirers so that you can optimize your auth rate, but also help you create some leverage one against another.
And second very quick question, is it more applicable to the larger chains that are more global in nature, or is there equal applicability for a regional chain that might have customers from international destinations?
Yeah, I think anytime you're accepting global payments, this is an application that you really want to look at. Certainly the larger brands are going to have particularly as they start to centralize e-commerce. There's some obvious opportunities there, but even for a regional brand that's just looking to kind of optimize what they're doing today, there are great opportunities.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Our third company, Planisto. Thank you.
What if you could have all tailor-made travel technology in one technology? What if you could push your hotels or your services via a journey builder? My name is Vincent and I'm here to talk about the Planisto travel platform. With our platform, you can upload content, you can manage content, you can import content, such as cities, countries, national parks, but also a wide range of products. You can connect rates. We have already connected to Hyatt, to Hilton, to Marriott, to Wyndham, and you can have, with these connections, all their online availability in all their room types. You can apply policies, so you can work commission-based, you can work with a markup, all geographically or target group specific. But more important, you can compose tailor-made routing holidays. You can add different stops with your content to your journey. And of course, if you added the stops, you can add all your products to these stops. For example, accommodations, with your own online connections and with all the room types that you would like to add. And you can add a room with an online rate easily to your journey. If you want to modify your journey, your routing, you can do that. You can determine the new number of nights. You can change the departure date, and by one mouse click, you can refresh all the rates in that specific journey. You can start from an example journey to make your life even more easier. You can deliver personal quotations, road books, all kinds of travel documents by easily inserting a flight number. And that flight number will trigger a flight tracker in your offer. You can add your own tips, you can add attachments, and of course you can have all these great documents in your own house style. Now let's check out an end result. This is what you can send to your consumer, a personal document in your own house style. The consumer can check his routing. He can check the distances, the pictures, the videos, the text. He can check the products that you have put in this offer. And check out the roadbook, something that you can give to your customer when he's going on a journey, including navigation buttons, weather online. Everything is possible in a roadbook. A roadbook can be used, of course, on all devices, and you can even download it to make it offline available. Planisto works with a transaction model, and that transaction model scales with the sales. Now, who can make use of this Planisto travel platform? Well, basically all the companies in the travel industry, if you have your own production. Tour operators, ODAs, DMCs, but also hotel groups. It's not about a product, it's not about a price. This is all about a unique experience, a journey, and price is secondary, believe me. We are passionate about our Planisto travel platform because of all the opportunities. Check out this ecosystem and check out all the stakeholders and ask yourself where maybe you want to be in this ecosystem. If you want to know more about Planisto, contact me. For now, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vincent. I think, Ellen, you had a question to begin with?
Yes, it looks great.
Thank you.
What is the value proposition for hotel chains?
Well, that's a good question. Well, hotel chains can, of course, push their hotels via the system and then make it available for tour operators, DMCs, etc. But if you think more out of the box, journeys, routings are really the holy grail of the travel industry. It's really about like 20 hotels in one holiday. So imagine that you can go to, I don't know, a Marriott.com as a consumer and compose your own journey, your routing, only choosing Marriott hotels. These kind of things are possible.
Thank you.
But as a consumer, I could also choose numerous different hotels, hotel brands across my journey.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
And-
tour operators do that actually all the time. Yeah.
And over the last couple of years with COVID, I think especially in the US, there have been a large increase in driving holidays,
Yeah.
and maybe not so much the city center.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that reflected in the uptake that you have here?
Well, I think that routing holidays were always very popular in the Western European countries. So I think that's really an increasing business. But yes, you're very right. People would like to stay in national parks and stay in hotels in a very calm environment. So absolutely, there is an increase of these types of journeys. Yeah.
Okay. And last question on the routing map, or the roadmap that you've got, does that also include the flights? So if there's a flight and then a rental car or something, it has the whole
It's
whole journey?
all connected to the one journey. So if you change something in the journey, it changes the car rental, it changes your excursion for Alcatraz, for your hotel, your flights, everything. It's one journey concept. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our fourth innovator, Trip Around. Christos, please.
Hi everyone, great to be here. This doesn't work. Okay, let me go back. Okay, I get 30 seconds. Okay, so welcome everyone to Trip Around. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Christos Sturgiou. I'm co-founder and executive chairman at Trip Around. So, like most of you in this room, I breathe travel. Maybe all of you in this room. And that's by growing up at a small luxury hotel of the world that my parents to this day maintain on a Greek island, and I help run the business of, to launching my luxury travel company when I moved back to my native Greece from the States, completing my studies at the Stanford Graduate School of Business back in 2004. And through that journey, I was really blessed to be recognized by the likes of Condé Nast Traveler, Travel and Leisure, among the top travel specialists in the world. We booked some amazing vacations at True Trips with my team. But I have lived through all the pain of technology, sometimes working in antiquated ways. So what I did is I recognized, someone said earlier, you have to let others do the work. I teamed up with a brilliant travel tech entrepreneur, Adonis Halkiopoulos, who most recently was actually recognized as a Focusrite young leader for our work at Trip Around. And we raised $3.5 million from angel investors, mainly in Silicon Valley, some strategics, and went about changing ancillary services and the way hotels process them. Then the pandemic hit, so we had great timing. We actually launched our company right as we all thought these things were happening in China. When we launched our product, hotels were closed. Despite that, we have more than 80 paying customers right now and growing fast. So I'll let you know a little bit about what the problem is and how we can fix it. We all know hotels, but through our businesses, but we all travel as consumers. And every time we have to book a massage, every time we have to book a transfer, every time we have to deal with ancillaries, we are frustrated, and we're part of the solution, we're part of the industry. So we all know the emails, the calls, we all know our teams are frantically trying to find people on the beach or at the Louvre when we are dealing with some malfunction in the back end. And we work with a fragmented system, right? We have many systems all across our back end, and that's a problem. And we focus many times on whether, I guess, like their espresso macchiato or lungo, and rightfully so, but we actually do not focus on learning why they travel to our destination. We don't focus on that at all. And that's a bigger problem because post-pandemic, it's more about the why and not as much about the where. And we don't know that. In fact, Skift tells us that almost all of us in this room understand that non-room services are going to drive growth. I will add that our brand needs to be enforced through a more comprehensive experience. And I will add that we need to treat both our teams as well as consumers and travelers in fairer, more technologically advanced ways. So what is TripAround? What do? We sit at the top of the property, at the top of the hotel chain, the resort. And we use an umbrella approach to integrate with third-party experiences or in-house experiences. We streamline the entire process across the customer journey from the moment someone books a room throughout the stay. And simultaneously, we involve your back office as well as your product line. Okay, so it works wonderfully. It's a beauty. We integrate with your PMS, and we integrate with several of your systems. Let's say you use some software to run your spa. And sometimes you don't use a software, or interestingly enough, it was our thesis, we're finding out in real life that people still use Excel. Your teams use email, calls, and sometimes notes. Through all that process, we collect all the data. And we enable you to process this data, to find ways that you can sell to consumers repeatedly from the moment they book their first room in your hotel. We deliver a user-friendly environment, seamless onboarding, and intuitive design, while gathering and analyzing all this data through a marvelous backend that we train your team to work on. It's very intuitive. Not much work needs to get done. Ultimately, what we do is we boost revenue from ancillaries. Our customers tell us that they see a 4x increase in sales. But what we think is the most impressive statistic is that more than 50% of the hundreds of thousands of bookings we already process for our customers, our B2B partners, happens pre-arrival. And this, by the way, is when, to this day, hotels build amazing websites with their wellness offerings, experiences they've spent years finessing and vetting, and then travelers hit a block. They can't do anything with it. They have to call, email, or God forbid, they have to schedule that transfer from the airport to the hotel. So, in the interest of time, I've included a link here. Since most people, like us, would like to win, I can't possibly show you our platform, but I invite you to take a picture of it or visit online before you vote. You can see at least an example of a front-end approach. There is a back-end approach that we have. It's quite exciting. We hope you will have an opportunity to show some of that in the future to anyone who's interested. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Christos. I think Ellen has a couple of questions for you, or one.
I do. So you said that you integrate with PMS systems. Do you also integrate with booking engines, or is it?
Yes, not yet is the answer. We're really proud of doing right what we do. We've seen many companies in the history of business scale fast and do it wrong. So not yet with booking engines. It's certainly in our plan, but we want to figure out all the PMSs first that have a dominant market share. We all know Oracle, for example, is moving to the cloud. We're doing something else. There will be a process.
How do you integrate with third-party suppliers? Do you pull their inventory, or is it?
That's an interesting question, actually. So, with the hotel owns all the data, the processes and all that in-house. That's easy. For the external suppliers, even though if a hotel is dominant in one of them, we allow the hotel to invite them for free, much like you will invite someone at Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. They'll connect for free, and then they will upload the inventory, but that, you need to be pretty dominant, obviously, for the other party to do this. So for the vast majority out there, we use an Uber approach, right, where you get something really quick, and then the supplier is trained, the hotel, you all have partners, you call up and say, this is how we're going to do it from now on. You're going to get an email, you're going to say accept, reject, offer alternatives. I don't have a 10 o'clock, I have a 4 o'clock, or I don't have today, I have tomorrow. The guest is on the beach. that's fine. The guest gets it automatically. The status changes magically from pending to accepted. Everything is streamlined. You have all the data. You know your guests. You can sell to them. So that's how we do it.
Wonderful. Thank you. That takes us to our fifth and final innovator. Please welcome to this stage, Trippies.
Hello, everyone. Oh, geez. Thanks. Hold on. Hello, everyone. Matthew Martinez, the CEO and co-founder of Trippies. So I wanted to start the presentation with a couple of rhetorical questions to my hoteliers in the audience. How do you think your sales team would feel about being able to quote groups without receiving RFPs or emails with date selections in them? And how do you think they would feel about being able to respond to those date requests instantaneously, not having to inundate your revenue team with a bunch of these requests that only materialize at about 5%, and not having to haggle with operators for weeks and then wait for them to sign the contract? So now I want you to envision a platform that can do all of this, while at the same time increase conversion rates, decrease labor, with no additional cost to the hotel. Now, I could talk about it for days, but you really have to see it to believe it. This is Trippies. So this is an example here of a tour sheet that an operator would use to source dates. It's a 3-city tour: San Diego, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. They would have to copy and paste all the dates for San Diego in a column, Los Angeles and San Francisco also. They then would put it together in an RFP or an email and send it out to a ton of hotels. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to take this spreadsheet and we're going to drop it into the Trippies system. We're going to begin our search in San Diego. San Diego was the first city on that tour. And then at the top here, you have the tour code. You have the destination where we're looking to source, and you have the allotment of rooms that we're looking to source also. In the middle here, you have all of the hotels in San Diego with the rates that are being looked at, with the corresponding dates next to them. This is a mock search just for the demo. We do have a map that shows the location of all of these hotels, and then you have the dates that populate directly from that spreadsheet into our system on an infinite scroll. As you scroll a little bit further down, you have our filters. Now, our filters are contracting terms. I contract a lot of groups, and the usual request is 30-day cancellation, no attrition, 1 per 20 comp, direct billing upon approval, all double beds, which is pre-selected here, free coach parking, and we'll say porterage is mandatory for this, and we have some other popular filters at the bottom. We go up here, we apply our filters. As you can see, it refines the search and only brings back the San Diego Mission Bay Resort. So that has all of the dates available. It's agreed to all the contract terms already. And now we're looking to get the operator to an average rate, which is very, very important for operators. So that average rate in the corner is an aggregate of all 27 dates. So if the operator is good with that, they select all dates, they go to review contract. So this is part of our patent pending process. And this goes ahead and basically APIs us out into our signing platform. You can see here at the top, you have the name of the hotel. You have the address, the phone number, and this is the hotel booking agreement. Now, the tour operator and the contractor automatically populate. They populate from their profile. This is going to be username and password based. So anybody who's using this has to sign up and get approved. Once they're approved, it populates into into the contract. You can see here the tour operator and the contractor. The tour code also populates, the tour year. All the terms that you selected from the last page automatically populate. The allotment, the number of nights, the date pattern with the corresponding dates next to it. And you scroll down to the total room costs for the block, so the hotel knows what they're selling. And then you have additional terms. Now, these are all the non-negotiables, right? All hotels have non-negotiables that have to be included in the contract. So we build this template with the hotel and their legal team to make sure that everything they're distributing is in line with their non-negotiable clauses, and they feel comfortable with it. The operator would go ahead to the bottom, and they would sign digitally. They go back up to the top and finish the process. agree to the terms and conditions. At this point, an email goes to the hotel saying that you have a group from a block from 917 group that needs to be countersigned. They countersign it digitally, and the deal is pretty much done. And now we can go to the metrics. You click on the locations page, the locations tab. It takes you to the locations page. As you can see here, you have all of the tours laid out that were in that contract. You have the arrival date, the departure date, the number of rooms, and then the budgeted rate and the actual rate is more for operators. They can go in and input that information to keep them financially on track. But for hotels, you want to know about the actual rate and the total actual of each group block. If you want this on a more macro level, you can go to tours, you click inside the tour page, and then this goes ahead and gives you the similar information on a larger scale. You have all of the tour information here up top, and then the budget information, again, is more for the operator. But for the hotels, you have the total number of room nights, the average of what those nights were sold at, and the total of the contract in general for the entire series. So as you can see here, we've taken a process that currently takes 4 to 6 weeks to get a contract done. I know this because I own a third-party contracting company, so I do this on a daily basis. 4 to 6 weeks to get a contract done, and now we're reducing it to a number of minutes. And the scalability of this is huge. We have a huge number of operators ready to use the platform, and we're ready to go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Matthew. Ellen?
Thank you. So what is the biggest hurdle that you face in order to launch this?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest hurdle is getting enough hotels integrated to fulfill the demand that we have. So we have a ton of operators right now, some of the biggest in the world. So in 2019, the operators that we have slated to use the system contracted $950 million globally. So it's quite a huge amount of business, but now we need to basically integrate the hotels to make sure that we have the supply.
Are there any other use cases that you see for this?
Yeah, so for the use cases, you can, obviously it can be used as a lead gen for hotels. We're also pitching it to use internally for their sales teams. So the process is the same. If I go to one of the bigger chains, if I go to their sales team, their sales team is doing the same process that I'm doing. They're just taking the work off my plate. So if we can stream that process internally and make it a white label, we actually cut the commission in half because we're not generating the lead, which makes it make more sense for them. So that's been something that's being considered also.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So thank you very much to the innovators. I can go down there. I really appreciate you guys coming. I think there is a lot of innovation out in the market. What I would like to do now is turn it to you. It is now your turn to help out here. I'd like you to follow me through a couple of simple instructions on the app so that we can vote. There's a couple of alternative ways if you do not have access to the app like I mentioned. For those who definitely know you don't have access, you can use that. But if you go to the app for the conference, go to the agenda. I want to see some phones out here because this is important stuff. Go to the agenda and then scroll down to Innov8. So it's not under the Innov8 piece, it's under Agenda and then Innov8. And then scroll down and you'll see a Vote Here button. Click that and then choose the company that you would like to vote for. Just a quick reminder, and I'll go through a couple of the alternatives of how one might do that. A quick reminder of the 5 companies that we had. Covering the breadth of distribution and payments. We've got process automation, payments orchestration, tailor-made travel, guest experiences, and group contracting. So all changing, evolving, transforming the industry in their own way. While you're voting, I should also say that you've also all received or should have received an email. So if either of these 2 options don't work for you, look for the email. It might be in your junk. Although I assure you it is not junk. And you can click on that and then vote there. So we've got just a couple minutes. We'll be tabulating the votes. In the meantime, I would like to welcome to this stage our sponsor for Innov8, Visa, and Fabrizio Verdon.
There you go.
Hello?
And I'm very happy to join this conference. Visa is very actually delighted to be partner of HEDNA. And on a personal note, I'm very really enjoying the content presentations. And kudos to the organizer, the presenters, for this very informative, thought-provoking session. On a more formal note, I need to read now, sorry. So, as the travel sector is working hard to recover, evolve, and innovate, taking learnings from the pandemic, Visa are continually deepening partnership across B2B and the T&E travel landscape, which supports the recovery and acceleration of the industry. The talent within our team dedicated to B2B travel will enable us to continually engage with you, to truly listen to how we can support you, whether it's data, product, solutions, or something else. Visa are proud to sponsor today's Innov8 session, which enables entrepreneurs to promote their ideas, suggestions, tools, and technologies to the HEDNA members and to the industry, to help solve pain points in the end-to-end process to simplify processes. They are here today to showcase their solution and gain your support to continue to grow and evolve. Maybe wish them all the very best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I can see from the back that you guys have been doing your work, so very much appreciate that. As I mentioned from the outset, HEDNA really does promote innovation and efficiency transformation within the industry. We love seeing new competitors coming in. We see that as just moving the entire industry forward. The final votes are being counted. I know it is very close from when I was back there, so I'll give them just a second to make sure we've got any last ones in. But I can tell you that the winner, okay, we have a winner now. Okay, good. Fabrizio, actually, if you could please come back up and announce the winner. They will join a distinguished Hall of Fame within HEDNA. Most recently, Katanox, but also we had Oki as a previous winner and a firm. So,
And the winner is 3Ps.
Matthew, thank you very much. Sebastian, could we have you come up, please? Thank you. So we do have a HEDNA trophy for the Innov8 that will be engraved with Trippies on it. Congratulations very much. Wonderful. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.